I will call the open meeting into session. We'll go over the agenda at 7:15, community input. At 7:05, the LEPC update. At 7:15, here NStar Electric is going to talk about a grant of location on Monroe Hill Road. 7:30, appointment of the new town accountant. 7:45, the audit committee presentation. 8:15, approval of payroll changes. 8:30, a review of our select board goals for the year. 8:45, appointments. 9 o'clock, the town administrator's report. 9:10, liaison reports. 9:25, approval of minutes and warrants. And our projected adjournment is at 9:30. Any changes or additions to the agenda? Hearing none, I'll ask for community input.
Tim, has everybody been whatever?
Oh, I
invited?
need to, actually, we need to identify everybody, don't I?
Yeah, and also, yeah, make sure everybody's been allowed into the meeting.
Yep.
Yes, yeah, the meeting's been opened up.
Okay.
No one waiting.
And I want to introduce the select board members. Put me in there. I'm Alan Lewis. I'm the chair. Barney Arnold, the vice chair. David Modell, the clerk. Kate Reed, member, and Luke Ascolillo, member. Good evening, Luke. Welcome.
Hey, thanks.
Yeah. And I'll ask once again, any community input? Hearing none, we'll go to the LEPC update. Chief Fisher. You're muted.
I'm trying to unmute myself and working with my pad tonight didn't go as quickly as I'd like. Hey, so thanks for having me. So a couple things from the LEPC front. Importantly, our numbers in Carlisle have continued to stay low. Not that we're happy with any cases, but we have not had any new cases since May 17th, which is pretty good stuff. Importantly, the LEPC discussed this morning about whether we're going to continue doing testing for Carlisle residents. And there was universal support from the LEPC for our fire chief, Chief Soros and his group that are doing the testing, that we're going to continue to do the testing. It's going to continue to offer it. It's a really good thing for our residents, and the schools have expressed appreciation for doing the testing. So that was one of the major things that came out. It was a really robust conversation about that, but everybody was in favor. And to say that the COA has resumed or increased their safe programming would be an understatement. We all got an impressive presentation from COA about what's been going on and what's coming. It's very exciting stuff. Our town administrator, Tim, gave us the good news that we have received the first $275,000 of the next round of COVID funding. The good part of this is that they don't expire until either 2024 or 2026. And using Tim's words, we'll have plenty of chances to get this right. And then there's obviously everyone felt the same about that. Schools reported a fantastic safe graduation last Thursday. And our library is mostly open to the public. They still are doing masks for the young folks coming in. And I think those are kind of the highlights. While there were some things brought up in other categories, I think those are the highs and lows. But several members of LEPC on here. If I've skipped anything, please weigh in.
Good.
Alan, you're muted. Excuse me, Alan, can you unmute yourself?
I got to hit the right unmute button.
There
I was
you
trying
go.
to, I was trying to unmute me on my picture. That doesn't work.
Yeah. We're going to interrupt our regularly scheduled select board meeting. You have a delivery there from your wife, Barbara. And we wanted to give you a very, very small token of our great gratitude to you for serving as our chair for this last year. And I'll just start by saying I've really appreciated the opportunity to be on the board with you, and your calm, steady, persistent leadership has been just terrific for us.
Thank
Like
you very
when you
much.
go, look at
Oh, this is
you.
wonderful. All
Yeah.
right. Just in time for
David or,
day.
David or Kate or Luke, would you like to say anything?
No, don't do that.
Oh, yeah. We're just gonna very briefly, Alan, very briefly.
I want to see you wearing that around the neighborhood. That's all I have to say.
Got it. I have to anyway, because I'm looking a little bit like the police. chief
Okay,
in
yeah.
places, so-
Oh, yeah.
I want to say that I really appreciate what Alan did over this year. That it was a difficult year. We had a lot of challenges. I know he put a ton of time into the LEPC as well as his duties as chair of the board. Always, as people said, very calm, doesn't rattle easily, kept the meetings going, kept them on time, which I really appreciate, and did it all in the Zoom environment, which is also, challenging. So really, to pun the phrase, hats off to you, Alan, for guiding us through this period. And, I'll miss that and your sort of dry wit. I will miss you.
Yeah, no, I just kind of want to echo the same sort of thing that, excuse me, yeah, it was a tough year, a tough year for everybody, but yeah, to lead the board and to really, be one of the leaders in the town through this, it takes the right kind of person, the right kind of mentality, the right kind of personality. And, I think you did a phenomenal job. Even though you were only on 3 years, I think you have more of an impact, than some of the folks that have been on longer years. But it's we're gonna miss you. We're gonna miss you on the board. So, so thank you, and enjoy the retired life and that pension that you're gonna get.
Oh, that's the big one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that golden parachute we're giving you, that pension. Enjoy it. Yeah.
This is Nathan. If I could just say something really quickly. Alan, when I saw that you had been nominated, I reached out to you an email and you were like, I didn't know I was going to be nominated. I'm not sure I want to run. And I just, I applied a little bit of pressure, but I'm just so happy that you did decide to run and go with it. And, you really were a tremendous asset to the Board of Selectmen, or the Select Board now.
Thank you very much. This, I have to tell people who are not from New England what a select board is and how it operates. And I'm saying being chairman of the select board is a lot like being the mayor of a city, except you don't get paid and you don't have any power. And but the other nice part about it is you are 1/5 of a team. And this board has worked very nicely as a team during all the years I've been on it. Back with Nathan, when you were here, and Carrie Kissinger was here. The people have changed, but the collegial attitude, the self-respect, that mutual respect that people give each other, the amount of work that people put in from week to week is nothing short of amazing and very much appreciated. I hope the town appreciates what you all do on a daily basis for this town. And that goes, I know several of you have also participated in the LEPC meetings on a weekly basis. Many other meetings in addition. I think Kate had 3 meetings just this afternoon. So this is something that it's a labor of love. It's something that we do out of a sense of obligation. And if we can serve this wonderful town, it's really a privilege to do so. So thank you very much. And let's continue on with the town's business.
I say one piece from the LEPC, Alan, your strong leadership during this pandemic was exceptional. I don't know what we have done without you in brief. Your clear experience previously that you brought to the table was just an important part of who we all were. And, you know, from your direct service and all the things that you volunteered at to making every single LEPC meeting over almost a 2-year period here, exceptional. The only thing I'm really happy about, and I got to say this morning, is you always wore the hat as a communication chair of the LEPC before we met like we're meeting now. So I'm really looking forward to seeing you stay with LEPC. I know you said you're considering it, but I hope you do. So thank you again from all the side from emergency services. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chief. All righty. I think we have is NSTAR on.
Do we need to, oh, I was just one point of information before I start. If they're going to make a presentation, but when we get to the motion, do we have to read the entire motion, or can we just say as presented in the packet?
You can refer to it as presented in the application.
Okay.
A little bit of time. I see the proponent. I don't see anyone from NSTAR on the call. I don't know. Mr. Gibson is
Okay.
the proponent. Do you know if the utility is planning on being here, Mr. Gibson?
Hi, everybody. It's Phil Gibson, 85 Monroe Hill Road. I confirmed with them this afternoon that they were in fact planning to be on. So not sure what's happened, but it would be unfortunate, obviously, if they did not follow through.
All right. Well, we'll leave that open for the moment. If they do come, we'll take it when they get here.
I'm sorry, maybe I should know this person, but is Kelly Byer by any chance the representative?
She is not.
No. Okay. Sorry, Kelly.
She's our next agenda item.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Priscilla.
Oh, great. Looking forward to talking to you too, Kelly.
All righty.
We're going to move
Let's
on.
do the appointment of the town accountant. Recognize Kim Kane.
Yeah, you're muted, Kim.
I'm muted. Kelly, we went through an interview process to replace Priscilla retiring as town accountant. And we were happy and pleased to offer that position to Kelly Bear. And I'd like to introduce Kelly to the select board. She has a background in auditing. So she's familiar with Munis and auditing, but on a different level. So this will be her first experience as a town accountant, but I'm very excited to work with her. She's got some great energy, and I think she'll be a nice asset to the town.
Thank you and welcome, Kelly.
Thank you very much.
We are extremely pleased to have you. Priscilla is not an easy
No, not easy to fill.
not an easy person to follow at all. We assume that a 75-hour week is not an issue, or you wouldn't have taken the job in the first place. And
no, that's not a problem at all.
and but if anything you would like to say?
I just want to thank you for giving me the opportunity. I'm very excited. You know, meeting the selection committee, and you know, everyone's been wonderful, welcoming, kind. It's an experience. I'm excited to start with Carlisle, so
Very
should
good.
be fun.
You'll have a shorter commute.
Yes.
Yes. Since I wasn't involved in the hiring process, could you just tell us a little bit about yourself, just for a couple minutes?
Sure. So I've been working at a municipal audit firm. We do other things as well, but my primary specialty was municipal audit. So I've audited a number of Massachusetts cities, towns, regional school districts. I've worked with the school departments for their reporting. I'm familiar with the town side reporting as well, with DOR, you know, free cash certification, Schedule A, you know, a lot of the general ledger reporting. As Kimberly mentioned, I've not been a town accountant, but I do have the other side of experience. So I've seen a lot of different areas and different communities and how they operate. And I hope to be able to bring the best of what I've seen to help us move forward.
And the short commute, where will you be coming from?
I will be coming from Westford.
Westford. Oh, that is short.
Yes,
Great.
I know. Kate suggested I start biking there, so I'm gonna have a couple months to get geared up for it. But
Just in time for winter.
yeah.
And Kelly is also going to take some classes, and we're going to get her laptop, so she'll be able to have access to the training in Munis to kind of get herself kind of up to speed. And we will have a crossover time period between her and Priscilla, so it should be a smooth transition.
Priscilla leaves in September.
September, around the middle of September.
Great.
Yes.
And when do you anticipate starting, Kelly?
I have an August 16th start date.
Great.
So it'll be roughly a month, it sounds like, for crossover. So I'll take as much knowledge from her as I can. She'll have all the institutional knowledge, so we'll get as much as we can from her before she retires.
And take a lot of what she says with a grain of salt.
The hope is to get be able to kind of close out the year end, which Priscilla is, very familiar with. And then Kelly will be able to come right on and start with the new fiscal year, and we can merge the two. So it should be very good. We'll miss Priscilla, but we're welcoming Kelly. We're very excited.
Yeah, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Good.
I was a member of the selection committee, and it's my very great pleasure to move that the select board vote to appoint Ms. Kelly Bear of Westford, Mass. as a full-time assistant town accountant until the formal retirement of the town accountant, at which time Ms. Bear will be appointed as town accountant, subject to the duties and responsibilities of that position.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll have a roll call vote.
Arnold, aye.
Louis, aye.
Modell, aye.
Reed, aye.
Thank you very much. Welcome, Kelly.
Thank you very much.
We are very happy to have you.
Thank you. And congratulations on your retirement as well. We'll be
Oh,
crossing
thank you.
paths.
Yeah, it's like most of my retirements, this one will probably be fraudulent.
Yeah, absolutely.
Temporary.
Everybody have them tapped for a couple of little jobs.
Goodness, thank you very, very much.
Thank
I'm
you.
looking forward to it.
You can take the rest of the night off. Okay, presentation of the audit committee. I guess that's you too, Kim?
I guess it is. I thought Kevin was going to be on, but we have,
Mike Bishop's on the call.
Mike Bishop's on the call from the audit committee. And do we have, I haven't looked through, do we have Matt Hunt on?
7:45. Well, it's, that was only supposed to be on the agenda at 7:45. Do you want to circle back and do the electric?
Are they here?
Ready to go.
I don't see Matt Hunt on. Do you, Tim?
No, Kevin Perkins is just getting on now.
Okay. But we need to wait for Matt Hunt, who is the partner with CLA, who will do the exit conference and go over the financials. So probably good to go with NSTAR first.
I don't know that they've joined the call.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to, because they were on the agenda at what, 7:15, and it's now 7:30. So
yeah,
it's not like they had to drive over.
Would you like to hear from Mr. Gibson what the project entails?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure that they need to make a big presentation on this. It's fairly straightforward, I think.
Correct. I think Phil, if you're available, could you just tell the board a little bit about the project?
Sure, happy to, and appreciate the opportunity. Sadly, them not showing has been a little bit typical of the sort of relationship we've had with Eversource for the last 10 months. But with that said, so as some of you may know, we are constructing a new home with an attached accessory unit at 85 Monroe Hill Road, and so the proposal from Eversource is to bring power from underneath the street, and so 85 is basically the second house on the left, second lot on the left as you come off of 225, And so I think it's a relatively straightforward proposal to just basically trench from the far side of Monroe Hill across to, which is where their sort of main source is, across to a corner of our lot where we've already trenched, run conduit that's been approved and inspected by the town, and link up and get power to our house. So from everything that I've heard and seen, relatively standard issue proposal, and so that's kind of what they and we are proposing for all of your review.
Thank you. Any questions?
Yeah, I do have a question. And do we know whether Gary Davis has been in touch with these folks, and if they're bonded, they're going to be bonding this project? Because we've had issues with road repairs down the line, and we do have a town policy.
I don't know the extent of Gary's conversations with them.
Well, I would then, when I make this motion, it'd be contingent on, I would like to hear a motion contingent on, following of, careful following of town policy in regard to bonding it for, doing construction within a roadway.
So Kate, they're chopping through the road and then they have to repair it.
Yeah,
And
And,
that's been the issue.
and then the town, it has to meet the town standard of the road, I guess, right?
yeah.
And how do you check that? Is there a process?
Well, I mean, you might hire niche engineering or some other engineering firm to make sure that, it's done right. I'm not sure,
Says all work shall be done to the satisfaction of the select board or such officer or officers as it may appoint to approve the work.
wait,
It's right at the bottom.
That's in the motion.
Oh, it is. Sorry.
But what's the actual procedure? Like, you chop up a road and we send somebody out there and they don't like it, then what happens?
Then they have to fix it.
Well, that's why it's bonded. That's why I want it to be bonded, because if it's not to the satisfaction of our engineer or whomever, then we have the money to fix it. If they don't, then that bond then gets returned to them if they do the job right.
Is
And that is
Eversource
currently
doing the
town policy.
chopping or some third party?
It doesn't matter. It just, somebody's got to bond it.
Who's the somebody?
Well, either Eversource or whomever I would say it's Eversource, but and if they get a third party, then they might turn around and ask their third party to do it. But I don't really care who posts the bond. I want somebody to post the bond to
How
ensure.
much, that's how much the bond is for.
It's usually an amount that's negotiated, and it's usually an amount that more or less covers the entire job. Doesn't
Sounds like
cost them anything. It's just,
It's a safety.
it's
Yeah,
a safety thing. It's very, and it is in our policy.
So I don't get it. I mean, why don't they come with everything ready? Like, why should this even be a discussion? Like, you have your plan, you got your bond, you did it, and then we approve, right?
Yeah, we're approving it here.
Well,
No,
what
but
I think
contingent
what-
on like 14 things happen, right? The amount of
No.
bond, whether they bond, who.
There's,
no, it's just one thing.
I just want to ensure that it's not just all work shall be done to the satisfaction of the select board or such officer as it may appoint to supervise the work. I want it, and the proper bonds have been posted.
Right.
So are you moving to amend the language?
I think that's already there's already a existing bylaw. Is it a bylaw or just a policy?
I think it's just a policy. It's a public works policy, and maybe it's,
I mean, number 2 says shall comply with the requirements of existing bylaws and such as may hereafter be adopted governing the construction and maintenance of conduits and manholes.
Okay,
And I
Okay.
think the bond is part of that.
okay.
all right.
I live on the street.
If you think that's fine, then, but I just, as I said,
Yep.
seen other big projects happen before that were not bonded, and then we had trouble getting.
Well, I think it doesn't hurt to add bonding specifically to the motion.
I would like to see it
That
added.
solves any ambiguity.
Yeah,
Yeah, so Kate, you want to just add to number 3, a line? At
and
the end of that,
conformance to the DPW policy regarding bonding of, yeah, it's DPW policy.
Okay. You want to make the motion?
Sure. I move the select board votes the motion as presented on 4, with the addition of number 4 at the bottom, adding, and I forgot what I just said, and I hope somebody,
That the appropriate bond is.
that the appropriate bond.
posted.
Oh, and that, no, and in accordance with the DPW policy on bonding road work.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second,
Further discussion? Roll call vote.
Arnold, I.
Cool,
Louis, I.
Modell, I.
Reed, aye.
Thank you. Hopefully, Mr. Gibson, that'll get your project moving. Good luck.
Great.
Yeah.
Thanks to all of you for the assistance, and look forward to meeting most of you.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Good.
When you see them, tell them to come and, finish our panels, our solar panels.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's coming up in the administrator's report.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.
Well, Phil, welcome to Carlisle.
Have a good night. Thank you.
Good night.
Okay.
Okay. We ready for the audit committee?
Here,
They look up to there.
the chairman is here.
Kevin's here.
Yep.
Thank you. But weren't we having CLA, Tim, to, had you not, or was it just you put us on for us to do the?
I think traditionally, it's the audit committee that makes the report, and
Oh.
we've had the auditor here on occasion, but I
Okay,
don't think
I
they're
was
coming this year.
misunderstood. I thought you were having them on. I didn't contact him. I thought you directly, I thought the auditor was going to be on. We have not
just
had a
the-
meeting ourselves with them. So Kevin, if you want, we received a clean audit. I think you all got a copy of it. The audit committee has not met separately on it. But we did receive a clean audit. We're closed for FY20. Gap financials are done. So is it to accept, do you do it to accept the audit then, Tim?
Yeah, after the board has questions that
Yeah.
they sometimes
Well,
do, but yeah, that's the vote.
The important statement was there were no material weaknesses found.
Yes. There's always room for improvement. They always find
So it's immaterial weaknesses that you worry about.
I think in the future with me going forward, we always had the auditor come and actually do a PowerPoint and present so that you
Yeah.
could actually have a better understanding. So I will do note to self that that's what I would like to do going forward, if that's what
That'd
the
be
board.
great.
Yeah, and when you, as you're making that note, would you also have it presented after the audit committee sees it, talks to the auditor, and makes a recommendation to us? Because I would prefer that as
Yeah.
well.
And is the management letter done separately?
Usually management letter is done separately, and I had not seen a full, usually with responses, management letter on that.
Okay. So that's still forthcoming.
I believe it's forthcoming, yes.
Okay.
So
thank you.
honestly, I don't
Just
think
phone
this-
and wait till and have a meeting. I'll get a hold of Matt and then call the audit committee with it. I don't know how the audit committee feels. It's not how I would normally do an exit conference. I misunderstood. I thought Tim was coordinating CLA to come, and I pulled the audit committee in, but we have not had a full meeting on the audit with the audit committee.
Would you like to defer this until after the audit committee meets?
I think that
rather?
would be best. I don't know how my audit committee feels. I don't think,
I would propose that we defer this consideration of this until after the audit committee has a chance to look at the audit
Yeah. Yeah, it's not.
And
But
then if you want,
Proper review.
and prepare a recommendation for the
They've
select board.
they've received it and had a chance to look at it, but they
Yep.
have not met with CLA. to
Got it.
have-
Okay, thank you very
Yeah,
much.
I would agree. I agree. That makes sense.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, that was quick. Oh, we are way ahead of schedule. I'm looking for anything else here that, I don't think there's anything else here that requires people to show up who aren't already here. So why don't we go to fiscal 22 payroll changes?
I'll make the motion, then we can discuss it.
Mhm.
Move the select board vote to approve the proposed fiscal 22 payroll changes, excluding those employees under contractual arrangements and those union represented employees.
Second?
A motion and a second. Is there discussion?
yeah, I'm still trying to get to that page.
Oh, it's not, yeah, I always have it.
129. It's 129.
129, okay, thank you.
Yeah. When you download it from, if you download it from DocuSign, you can do them as independent documents, and it's really much faster to get to them. That's why I'm over there.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't typically download it if I can avoid it.
Oh, well,
Yeah, we Philistines still print it out.
yeah, oh my God. That whole
Not,
amount
I
of
don't print out
paper?
everything, but the
Yeah,
key elements I do.
yeah,
Okay,
well,
here we
okay,
are.
okay.
So Tim, is there anything noteworthy here that we should be looking at?
Just that, that this reflects the 2% non-union increase
Uh-huh.
to all town positions, exclusive of the unions, obviously. And some of the contractual positions are listed, even though I think the motion says that they're not, but really your vote is effective for the non-union, non-contractual folks who would be getting these increases July 1st. If you
Could you,
approve it.
could you
payable.
explain I mean, I understand steps in the union contracts. What do they mean here?
I think that individuals who would be getting a step, well, everyone gets a step every third year. So you'll see throughout the chart, there are some people who are getting that step, and the date of that step is their anniversary, their employment anniversary during the year. This really reflects where people are on the chart currently, as increased at town meeting by that 2% vote. So this reflects how that 2% increase works its way through the non-union employees.
Okay.
So if I understand that correctly, then if I'm looking at the far right column, that is the date that the person would be eligible for the next step?
That's
increase?
correct. Those that are getting a step this year would be getting it on that date, which is the date of their hiring with the town.
Got it.
Okay. And is that a lump sum, or do they get that incrementally?
No, it's they simply move up one step on the salary and wage chart.
Ah, okay.
It's a defined amount
Right.
per hour. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Further discussion? Hearing none, I'll have a roll call vote.
I'm sorry, I was still reading for a second there. Arnold, I.
Osvaldo,
Louis, I.
Modell, I.
Reed, aye.
Thank you. Okay. David's favorite topic. goals fiscal 21 of the select board. A list was passed around, actually several lists were passed around of some of our goals. But one made it into the packet.
No, actually, two of them.
Two of
did.
them made it into the packet, you're right. So, I mean, the one that came out of the planning session dated August 25th are the sorts of, are really the results of that planning session that we held in the summertime, our last in-person meeting. And then we have a list on the right or on the next page of specific things to account for. So why don't we go through that list? We can discuss them, decide whether or not they have been completed. If they have not, to what degree there is a work in progress, and where to go from here. So why don't we start with, first of all, any comments on the overall document on the planning session?
You mean the August 25th?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. My only comment is that those goals were so short term, it weren't almost even goals. I think the
Yep,
next
right.
page was a much more useful.
I think the important part of that, Kate, was the process improvement component.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, in fact, we really should start that one because the revised personnel policy bylaw actually got done. And, sorry. I am now working on the personnel policy itself. And I have, it's almost finished. You should be getting it. Hopefully, Barney, I sent you a copy of it.
Yes, thank you. I'm
And so
sorry I
hopefully we'll get it in the July meeting.
Yeah.
For the whole, because I don't want to leave too much air. You know, we've obviously had a
Right.
policy issue already in a different department. I would like to get that policy up and running.
And actually, I think all of the process improvement things have pretty much been accomplished. I mean, we do now circulate the agenda well in advance.
Yeah.
The personnel policy bylaw has been rewritten, and by and large, not 100%, but by and large, we have gotten written reports from the boards and committees who requested action from us.
Yes.
Yeah, it may not always be 7 days prior, but yes.
Well, it's
definitely-
usually distributed with the agenda.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Right.
So let's go over to the other list, which are the action items from August 25th. Land use reorganization.
David, you want to?
Well, started, right? I think we had a series of meetings with Mark Way and the land use boards, both the professionals and the board members. So I think some stuff is happening. I felt like the tenor of the meetings was good. People seemed to come prepared to embrace the mission of improving and coordinating and, eliminating double work and so forth. I guess, Kate, in your mind, is it now being sort of handed off to the town governance committee to finalize, or it's not clear to me?
It's not totally, it's certainly the governance committee is a byproduct of the work that was done by the land use
Yes,
organization.
I agree with that, yes.
But how it totally relates, I guess I'm not totally sure either.
Right, so we're in a little bit of a limbo. I mean, we saw I should say, we heard some pushback even on the personnel bylaw changes we voted at town meeting, where some people or a person said, well, you've got this governance committee, why are you doing all this stuff? Why don't you let governance do it? So I think in this and some other things, we're gonna have to, we the select board will have to continue to decide those things that we just want to finish up and not just leave a big hairy mess for the governance committee. So this would be one of those, I think we should just kind of continue. And
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that has happened between when we started and even town meeting is that the planning administrator has retired. So that, now we're
He
gonna
hasn't
have,
retired yet. He's announced his retirement. Right?
Oh,
No,
no,
he's
He's
retired.
gone.
Oh,
That's
he
it.
retired.
Yeah, June,
15th, wasn't it?
June 11th.
Or 11th, okay, yeah.
Yeah,
So-
Friday, June 11th.
So I think we need to talk to maybe to Madeline about, the new job description, what she's thinking, because she's the one that initiated this whole thing to start with.
Right.
So I think we should talk to her about continuing,
Yeah.
maybe in parallel, and maybe, maybe the governance committee will, I doubt that, well, let's see.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it might be
Um,
worth trying to organize a discussion with Madeline and also Wayne, about just what he sees as falling into that committee and what Madeline's thinking.
Is Wayne, this is a little bit of a diversion from this particular goal, but is Wayne both selecting the members of the governance committee and the agenda, or he selects and they sort of figure out their own agenda?
No, I think he's leading it, isn't he?
Yeah, but I think he's not intending necessarily to, I think he's asking somebody else to really do the day-to-day chairing of it. But he certainly is overseeing it.
Right,
Jim?
but so the question of whether, like, say, land use, I mean, I don't know, I guess I'm undercutting my prior statement. If their mandate is to kind of take a fresh look at the organization of town government, they probably should take this over, right?
They probably should. It's always what happens with government and how slowly we're able to work. But it would have been nice had we had this, kind of in place, this new organization or structure in place before we look for a new employee. So now it's
Yeah.
awkward. Do we ask the planning board to wait to find their new employee until that structure is established, or do they get the employee and then now we have to, work around that?
Well, there's a job, I mean, so I was unaware, I guess I shows I'm not in touch here, but I was unaware that George had already left, but is there a job rec out for his replacement already?
No, and in fact, the planning board is hoping to staff it on an interim or temporary basis,
Right.
and perhaps even use a consultant. So they're not in a hurry.
So I think that
position.
sounds to me like the right answer, that
Good
Yeah.
news. Yeah,
the
absolutely.
job description, the recruitment process should not, anyway, I mean, as good practice, recruitment should not proceed until there's an agreed on job description, position description. And that shouldn't proceed until there's been some look at the work done and forward. So if they're prepared to staff it on an interim basis to get the work done, to me, that's a better outcome. And then give that as one of the, we should circle back with Wayne, though, to make the point that has some urgency. That shouldn't be like a one-year project. That should be part of
The
maybe
governance committee.
front end of what they do.
Yeah, right, because we don't want to hold, if they can, if the planning board wants to move ahead, let's say in 2 or 3 months from now, we want to make sure they can do that. Yeah.
Right. I mean, in all these things, there are, specific things that I won't even say it's a board, because that may be itself a question, but there's a function of planning that has specific things that need to be done by people who know how to do it. So those very tactical credentials should be part of the job description, but then the organizational piece, is still what would be debated. Is there going to be a planning board, and would that person report to the planning board or to the administrator? They should, that's part of what they should tackle early, I guess.
Yeah.
So I guess we should get back to our agenda, but I would be comfortable. I think we should probably have a meeting or a chat with both Madeline and Wayne on this specific topic just because it's got some time element to it. Not to, overrun Wayne's process, just to make sure there's an agreement, short-term agreement on how to proceed. But getting back to the question of, did we meet the objective? I would say half, I don't think we met it because we didn't finish that, but we started some progress, and, it did also not only dovetail into the governance committee, but also into Barney and Kate's work on the personnel bylaw, right? Didn't that feed into that
Yeah.
in some way?
Absolutely did. Absolutely. That's
Right.
where, because we were told by all three boards that the staff evaluation was very difficult and they weren't always equipped to do it. And so we resurrected, a new,
Right.
really the staff evals kind of freshened them up, and then also instituted a new goal setting
Right.
process that everybody was trained in.
Right.
So we're moving forward in all that.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So 50% completed and moving forward.
Yeah.
And the Insurance Advisory Committee, where does that stand?
Oh, for
That was the body that made the recommendation to the select board regarding the change in the percentage of the health insurance premiums. So
Right,
ideally, they meet on an annual basis to review the current plans that the Blue Cross or whomever is going to roll out to the employees, and they have various opinions on that. So they've been reconstituted. So that's now an active town committee that will be devoted to reviewing insurance issues on an annual basis.
And are they the appropriate group to get the librarian request for looking at the leave policy?
I think actually, I think it would be better handled through a policy, a change in the personnel policies, which the personnel board could recommend to this board, or this board can, promulgate its own policies, frankly.
there's some
And-
big dollar amounts attached to that. So I would say personnel board to the FinCom to us, possibly in that direction.
Right. But as a board, the way the policies change is that the select board votes to institute a new policy or to amend them. As Kate said, she's working on the whole package of the personnel policies. But I think that's the place where that would work better than the Insurance Advisory Committee, because I think they're just going to recommend, various insurance products, short-term disability, or which we have currently. I think it's more of a policy issue than insurance at this point.
All right.
but in any case, we've got that committee has been rebuilt and is functioning.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it had really not met for quite a while, primarily because of
Right.
personnel vacancies. And once Kim came on, it was reconstituted and immediately took up the healthcare share.
Right, okay.
Okay.
So essentially that's done.
So at personnel, so if we're going back on the list, we had land use and then there's personnel policy. I would say that's 98% done, and I'm ready to bring it to the select board to underscore the changes. There's one change about some military leave, whether we adopt the state, MGL 33 section 2 or something. I don't remember the number, but anyway, which is different than our current policy and which maybe have some money attached to it as well. But then there's a big thing from DOT, which, we had to put in there. So there's a bunch of new policies in there.
Okay. Thank you to Tom Ratliff. He has been thanked.
Good.
Does everybody know who Tom is and what he does? The
He's the
keeper
one
of the flag.
of the flag, yes.
Yeah,
Actually, it came about because he lives right across the street from FRS, and when the group celebrating Indian independence wanted to have their celebration, he made sure that the proper flags were flying for that. So I did get to meet him at that point and thank him for his service.
good.
Yeah. And you also,
Populate the Highland Committee, that has been done, and they have been really active in recent weeks and recent months. They are meeting either tonight or tomorrow night, and moving forward with great speed, coming with some rather, I think there's a proposal coming forward to the select board from them.
oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
so we met before this. Yeah, and it,
Met tonight.
we met tonight, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll discuss in my liaison report, but yeah, there is a proposal we're gonna ask for $6,000 to do some preliminary work, basically get cost estimates for residential or for some residential but municipal personnel or municipal offices, that sort of thing. So yeah, John Valentine and Jack Trost did a lot of negotiating with this one firm, and yeah, they came in at about $6,000. But anyway, we can discuss it later. But
Okay.
yeah, pretty active. So
Yeah, and kudos to the leadership of that group. They've really picked up the glove and ran with it. It was really well done. After something that had stagnated for years and years and
Yeah.
years. Yeah. Okay, municipal aggregation.
That's done.
That's done.
Yeah.
We are done. We are darn near aggregated.
Another, was it like, right, 30 months or something? So,
Right.
Yep.
so, yeah, okay.
Evaluation of the contract with Lieutenant Crow, done.
Yep.
Contract with the fire chief, done. Follow up on the IT project, done.
Well, okay.
We
It's
got
not,
we got the one report.
yeah. That project. Is that
That
the thing you're
project.
talking about?
Yeah. Well, it's actually both, I think. But the other one, we town meeting approved the monies to hire a IT manager. So
Yeah.
Right,
that part's
Right.
kind of
Is
done
that
too.
what yeah, this IT project, that was both an IT person for town hall, but also
Also the
was it-
infrastructure.
right.
the infrastructure work that RJ has been
Yes, correct.
doing.
So
Okay.
I agree the RJ portion is done, and thank you,
Yeah.
RJ, for
Yes.
that. But I think defining the scope of the IT person, again, I'm worried about layering too much on the governance committee, but how that all works is kind of key to,
Yeah.
that's a whole nother piece, right? Speccing that job and recruiting that person.
Right. And I have to say this all kind of goes into the liaison report as well, but the Municipal Facilities Committee, because in the past we've talked about having more of an umbrella organization, more centralized. I know that Tim and Jim have been working on, and the Municipal Facilities Committee has been looking at other towns and how they have, drawn in all their things. And many of them actually have IT as part of their under that umbrella. And so that would be something that we should also be probably discussing, whether that should go in that org chart. And
Oh,
then,
boy. Yeah.
well, that's what's done in some other towns. I'm not saying that's what we should, I'm
But
just
there's
saying.
two different, I don't want, it's a different
that needs to be
conversation,
looked
but
at.
I would just say, Kate, that maybe the care and feeding of an established network could be considered part of the infrastructure that if MFC would have oversight on. But the real job of getting with the 21st century on IT, like cyber and, fiber and just all these things. That, I don't know if that's MFC. That seems like a lot.
No, it's not. Okay, well,
I don't know. I don't know about that. I would just hold on. I mean,
Well-
that deserves a discussion at the select board. Again, I think we got to figure out with Wayne how this whole thing moves forward, because
Right.
the committee should have sort of a blank sheet of paper to figure out what it wants to do and go off and do it. But we, the select board, have to run the town. No, we don't run it, but we have to make sure the town is running, day to day, month to month. And so some decisions have to be made. We just need to sort of
Right.
gotta get a handle on that.
Well, let's just, part of this review is then to set us up at a future select board.
Yeah,
meeting,
right.
Right, to
So,
determine. our-
right. No, you're absolutely right. So, I mean,
So we'll put that on. I mean, this will be something we have to revisit and,
right. I mean, I think from a general perspective of did we get stuff done? I think, yeah, that was a big thing. I mean, we didn't do it. RJ did it, but we got it done, that, and we managed to convince the town that it's actually worth spending a 6-figure salary on that position because it's so important. So that piece is good, so say 75%. Well, I guess the project's done. So I guess that goal has been met.
yeah.
Okay. Any others?
Well, I want to circle back on, I'd like to go back up to the first list here. Circulate Board of Selectmen agenda 7 days in advance. So I guess we'd say we met it even though it wasn't always 7 days, but, that was a good first step. But again, to Barney's point about framing fiscal 22, my view is that it's not just presenting the agenda, it's a double thing where you present the draft agenda, you get comments, and you edit the agenda. And that you're pretty hard over on bullet 2 on that list. You're kind of hard with these boards and committees that they can't be dropping presentations in at the last minute or coming with presentations we haven't seen or not having a presentation when we think we're going to have one. I mean, that whole piece still in my mind needs a lot of improvement. I just have to say. So I don't give us particularly a great grade on that. I'm not saying we didn't do what we said we would do, but we can do better. I think we can do better to be much more organized and much more focused when we come in on what we want to actually accomplish, like in the meeting. I'll just make that statement. And I'm prepared to help on that, of course.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, one of the things we have done, certainly since I've been on the board, is really there's almost very little gets done in the week and a half between the last board meeting
Right.
and the time the agenda is set out. And if we could get more things done, like preparation, accumulating reports from committees who are going to present at the following meeting, that kind of thing. So we have more than 3 or 4 days to look at it. I think would be very helpful. I'm not sure quite how you do that, but it's something that's
Well, I mean,
yeah.
from my school committee experience, we did, I don't know if they do it still, but what we did when I was there was we'd have what I called, I called it a postmortem, and then people didn't really like that connotation. So we don't use those for that phrase anymore. But there's a meeting after the meeting to kind of review what worked and didn't work and what's coming up. And then out of that comes, and so if we have a Tuesday meeting, that's like Thursday, that's just the chair, maybe the vice chair and the town administrator. It's just a small meeting. And then out of that, maybe, on the following Tuesday, let's say, comes the draft agenda for the upcoming meeting and the requests to the boards that are relevant for whatever they're going to come in. And you kind of gather all those comments, and that gets finalized, say, the Thursday, of the second week. And then, then you've got your agenda and you go. So it requires a couple extra meetings, and it requires tight attention to detail. And I have to say the school board typically only meets monthly, which makes it a lot easier than meeting every other week. But I mean, that's kind of my view, and I'm, very interested in discussing that with Barney, just to kind of figure out how that might work, Barney and Tim, I should say.
Yeah.
But I have a model in my head that, can get a little more, like an extra loop of feedback prior to coming.
Mhm.
Yeah, I should note, just for the record, that when the agenda comes out, that it is in fact a draft agenda,
Yeah.
until it's posted. And,
Right.
and people can and have many times
Yeah.
made suggested changes.
Yeah, I mean, but it's as simple as, for example, putting it in Word as not PDF, right? Allow people to track changes in a Word document compared with a PDF that, yeah, you can comment, but you gotta scribble on it, or you gotta send in, it's just little things, but I just feel like we gotta get the board engaged more, and maybe it's just me. I was a freshman on the committee, so I don't want to make it all about me, but I guess I didn't feel as fully engaged in the process in the off weeks.
Mhm.
And it might, again, it might be my fault for not taking a more proactive way, but I would look for more active engagement by everybody. I'd like a comment. And if you don't, by the way, if you don't comment, if you're too busy or you don't have a comment, that's okay. But I would be very not happy if then you come in, and I'm not saying anybody in particular, but a person comes in at the meeting out of left field with this. Well, you had a week to figure it out. I mean, I know that at town meeting, the classic thing at town meeting is everybody goes to sleep for 51 weeks of the year, and suddenly they spring to life and they got all kinds of things to say. But that's okay. They're civilians and they're not engaged. That's their time to be engaged. Sometimes it's frustrating, but that's reality for people who aren't engaged in it. But we're elected officials. We shouldn't have that excuse.
Yeah.
That's my bias. I'm just kind of putting it out.
Well, this is all good stuff that we should talk about,
Right.
soon.
Yeah, so people can think about it. No, I
We have
agree.
a
It's
new board.
it's
Yeah.
beyond the scope of today, but I wanted to put it out there for people to think about. Because I would like, again, to have a summer session where we, again, face to face, maybe with a meal, we can, really have a substantive discussion about that.
Good.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Any further discussion on any of these items? If not-
No, I just wanted, just one other thing, and that above the process improvement, we did have this pare down the liaison assignments, which we did, and that was good. But one thing is that I really wish that I would get the minutes sent to me from the boards. I'm just wondering, I guess I really should just be looking them up, but.
You mean for your own boards that you represent?
Yeah. It would be really nice if, there were some mechanism where we didn't have, I'm trying to be lazy here, but I guess I should
Yeah.
just be looking them up.
They should just
I
send
mean,
you.
I think you also probably just have to work that out with the individual committee that you're
Yes, that's what we're gonna have to do.
liaising to, because some of them
Yeah.
are very well organized and
Yeah.
like the
Yeah, I mean,
library, I always
we
have,
should be getting their agenda and their minutes.
yeah, and that's,
And I get both of those from the COA.
Yeah, so I'm wondering, okay, so whomever.
And I attend all their meetings.
Yeah, well, I would do that if I knew what they were meeting about or, when they were meeting. But very often, as I hear it afterwards, I go, oh, gee, I wish I'd known about that meeting.
well, yeah, yeah. I'm on the distribution list for, the two committees that I've been the liaison to. That sort of
I
meet
guess I
regularly,
didn't get
so.
on my distribution list, so I will just be better about that next year. But I think we should all try to do that because I think.
I think that's a good best practice, is we should make
Yes.
sure that we're, an ex officio member, if you will, of those boards, and we get all those materials, right?
Yeah.
That's a fair statement.
Okay.
Yeah, and we'll have to take another look at the liaison and the committees, because we've added some new ones now, so going forward. Yeah, but that's for another time, not tonight.
Okay.
All right. Appointments. American Rescue Plan Act. As Tim reported, there's some activity there. Fortunately, there's no quick spend necessary with that money, but we really need to start thinking about what kinds of people we need on that committee that's going to at least provide oversight and guidance for the types of things that can be funded through this rather large amount of money.
Yeah.
How much money? Oh, 1.5. So, one question on this, I see a big, public health element. Shouldn't there be a Board of Health person in this as well?
Well, again, I think the resource people are going to be there. I mean, the fire chief, the police chief, I would think the health agent or the chairman of the Board of Health could be one. We're thinking it should not be town employees on the committee.
No, I wasn't suggesting that, but I'm just seeing Tim, from Tim's memo, the list of.
Yep.
Yeah, so number 6 could be a BOA representative.
Yeah, I
BOH.
mean, BOH.
I'm sorry, BOA. I'm okay.
Or unless you get someone from the Bank of America to come. Yeah, I mean, I think those are the kind of things, and there probably should be, I mean, the places where we think we're going to spend a lot of money. At least we need to be able to invite people who can give us real information about what's needed there.
So maybe it's even the MFC as well. 'cause you got
MFC, certainly.
Water, sewer,
Yep.
broadband infrastructure.
Yep. School.
Maybe there's a line that gets added to the, that says, not necessarily add more people to the committee itself, but that a line below that says, and, committee chairs or staff people will be invited as needed to give input on, requested.
Well, but maybe, but if I see town administrator, town accountant, if we're gonna go with citizens and not professionals, should the board be made up of board members of representative boards, and the administrator and the accountant are those people? They're the advisory side. Because the interests of the citizens are represented presumably by Select Board, Finance Committee, Board of Health, MFC, etc. I don't know. It's a thought.
Yeah.
I really think certainly the finance people who are employees, Kim and the people like that, and finance committee need to be major components of that.
Yeah.
I
I
like
mean,
the way-
well, they're going to need to know what's eligible.
Yep.
And actually fill out the paperwork.
There's going to be a lot of detail that's
the rack
required.
and stack of, I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know, I'm just.
You don't want to spin a lot of wheels talking about spending money in places that aren't going to be eligible.
No, right. So we need that guidance, but presumably once you have that guidance, it becomes, a rack and stack, and there should be advocacy by those representative groups, I think.
But
I mean,
I think Tim's sentence here about that it would be awkward, and I would suggest maybe inappropriate for somebody to be a voting member of this group and also strongly advocating for their particular,
Right.
project to be funded. So in some ways, that
Oh, so
argument.
you would take it out completely. Interesting. Okay, all right.
I'm sorry, what?
That's a fair statement. No,
Right, so that you just leave the representation as Tim has suggested here, and then different boards and
they
committees.
come and they advocate for their
Yeah,
project.
exactly.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
No, I can, I can see that. I can see that.
Select board.
You know,
Jim,
we
did
had-
you want to add anything since this is your proposal?
Well, no, I think you accurately stated it. I thought that the committee doing the review should be those without a particular horse in the race, so to speak, that
Yeah,
the other department heads, certainly, can and should advocate for their departments or needs that they feel are appropriate. But I think it does create a, kind of an inherent issue with someone's going to be voting, for their own project and possibly, voting against the competing project when they should just be advocating straight up for what the need is. And then the committee, which is really isn't going to make the final call. They're going to recommend to, the select board how these funds get spent. So
right.
again, it's just another level of review. But I think they'll be putting kind of that comprehensive program together. And we've got literally, we've got a few years to get this right. So we don't want to, kind of go off willy-nilly and buy this and buy that and then find out, well, you probably shouldn't have done that, or, you should have had a better idea of what it was going to cost. And I guess that was my thought. I mean, we can talk about the composition. And I think when I wrote down the citizen on the committee, I must admit I had citizen Bill Rizzo in mind when I wrote that, because I can't think of a more fair-minded person than Bill, or with more expertise. And he's been dealing with this stuff for a year now with Priscilla. But
But is this going to keep him away from his air conditioning repair business?
I think you're going to keep him busy. Yeah. But it's up to the board. I guess that was my philosophy, that, there'd be a bit of a separation between those that didn't have a particular project or, program of projects in mind, and those that would and could advocate for those.
One of the, I think, really good things that happened this year was when we brought Mark Way in to help us go into the pros who know what they're doing. And I'm thinking, where this town is well endowed with major corporate executives, people who really know the big picture, who know management, who know fiscal policy. And we ought to be able to find at least a few of those people to help populate this. You don't need a lot of them, but there's some folks out there, I think, who have a tremendous amount of experience and wisdom, which can be brought to bear on these kinds of issues. And we ought to take advantage of that.
So are you advocating for 2 citizen representatives?
Well, I'm advocating for all citizen representatives on the committee to be the voting members.
So that means then what happens to the town administrator and town accountant?
Their resources.
Their resources. So they're not members of the voting committee.
Right. And again, this is a group that recommends.
Yeah. Well, maybe we do need to have the charge, on like what you wrote, Tim, maybe we do need a charge to help us sort through
Same
that.
time. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's fair enough.
because this sounds like it's the nub of the,
Okay. I'm happy to do that for next time.
Thank you. Public Safety Building Task Force. I would like to report that we have not been overwhelmed with volunteers. The people I specifically asked by calling them on the telephone and saying, would you serve, said yes. But when I asked for, the citizens to step up, the response was underwhelming. So I don't have additional people to recommend at this point, and I frankly was a little reluctant on my last meeting to do that anyway. But I think that's a very important committee. It's something that should not linger.
Yeah.
yeah.
And I mean, it's certainly, I mean, it's tied up in master planning, it's tied up in Highland Committee to some degree, and that there's a lot of
I was just gonna say,
overlap in those things, but it needs to get established so that they can at least be on an equal footing.
yeah. And the Highland Committee wouldn't just roll over and become this?
I don't think so.
Okay,
Yeah. I mean, I don't think so. I mean,
okay.
yeah.
No, I don't think so either. But it needs to be something.
Yeah.
So where is this on the agenda? Is this part of the goals or we?
No, it's under appointments.
Appointments.
Oh.
Yeah, and there is nothing really written under there.
Yeah, we don't have, we have three. So we authorize sort of three committees. One is the one under Wayne, he's picking his own people, right? And
Yeah.
then
Yep.
two of them, we have the transfer station thing and this, right?
Well, we don't have to appoint the transfer station. This is.
Done.
They're
that's
up and
done.
running.
That
Yeah.
one's done, yeah.
Well, do we have to appoint the the Public Safety Building Committee?
Well, we don't have enough people yet.
Don't have-
Yeah.
No, but I mean, you're saying we don't have to, like, it's not our purview or?
No, it's our purview.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
It's our charge. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is our charge, right?
Yes.
Okay, so. I agree.
So, I guess what that means is we have to come up with a new, so running, a request in the mosquito didn't produce any additional volunteers. So we're going to have to, I think, come up with another strategy for recruiting people to be part of that group.
So we had lots of people for the transfer station, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, and didn't we have, I thought we had a couple, how many did we have for public safety?
We have two for public safety at the moment.
Lavery and somebody
No.
else.
No,
Rizzo and
Lerman.
Jerry Lerman.
Okay. How many do we want? 5?
I think 5 would be a good number.
Do we want any representation from the boards or not? Like,
Well-
select-
Well, I mean, they're already, I mean, Jerry Lerman is a representative from.
No, I don't mean, I'm sorry, I should have been more clear. Select board or the finance committee?
Well, I think, again, I think these are committees who recommend to the select board.
Okay, no, that's fine. I'm
Yeah.
just asking.
That's,
And
please,
how about the
that's-
professionals, fire and, how about the chiefs?
Well, they're resources.
Okay, all right.
I mean, in the charge, we specifically,
All right, yeah.
show
all right.
them
So we
as,
need 3 more interested people.
Right.
All
non-voting.
right, so we take another, take another whack at it. We'll-
Yep.
we'll get-
All right. Town administrators report.
Okay. The first item in my report has to do with the COA's request for a storage shed for their durable medical equipment. I don't see Joan on the call yet, but she planned to be here to make her pitch for that. I know that you have some information in the packet on what the shed would look like and where it would be located.
We
And
we have
so
a nice
forth.
tent.
We do have a couple of structures that
Is she
maybe could be
gonna put-
used.
Is she gonna put it in the poison ivy or in front of it?
Yeah.
Okay. Hopefully in front of
From
it.
those, from those pictures, I couldn't quite tell where that was. Oh, it's
Yeah,
near the
no, me
trees.
neither. Yeah, I couldn't tell either.
So, which makes me worry, Luke, about the new proposal for the island buildings, because they don't even want to just store durable, stuff in there. Who's gonna want to live, are we gonna be able to make it livable? But anyway, that's for another day. 14,000 for a shed. Oh,
That's a Reed's Ferry.
yeah, it's a Reed Ferry.
Where would it go?
It's going near the town hall.
No.
Somewhere
parking
off the
lot.
parking lot, right? Is that? the
Yeah.
idea?
Yeah, the hill adjacent to the
Yeah.
parking lot. Yeah.
It's been approved by all the appropriate committees and boards. In
Why
terms
is
of
it-
Where it's gonna go.
Why is it sprouting forth now and not for town meeting?
Oh, they have the money for it. This does not require town funding.
Oh, okay. So what do they need permission to do then? Just to put
Well,
it
they
up?
just need permission to place something on town property.
Mhm.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you.
I don't have a problem with it.
I don't
In
either.
fact, it is needed. You know, that stuff gets used a lot in this town,
Yeah,
and
Yeah.
it would be a convenient place to put it. It would be a new shed, well protected, well weatherproofed. And, I think it's money well spent, especially since it isn't ours.
Great.
My only other question is it going to take parking spots up? Because, we have limited parking as it is. We've got a trailer parked in there. We've got,
Yeah, I don't think it's planning to be in the parking lot itself.
No.
It's just to be off the parking lot,
Right.
off the parking
but
lot.
accessible from it.
Okay.
Yeah, it almost looks like it's in the area where they, excuse me, parked the trailer, right?
Well, I couldn't
up
tell
the
from
hill.
these
I
photos.
I
Yeah,
couldn't
it's up
tell.
the hill.
Yeah, I couldn't tell from the pictures
Well,
where it was.
They,
Yeah.
Yeah, because the thing is too, I mean, if you gotta access it, you don't want somebody pulling up and blocking the door, right? So it'd be, ideally, they put it where the trailer is, and then they park the little van thing, right? So then if
Yeah.
they need to, they move, right? But
Yeah.
don't block their own door, right? But I think it makes perfect sense to get
Yeah.
this. Yeah, and I agree with Alan, especially if we're not paying for it, so.
Yeah.
Tim can figure out where it goes.
Okay.
Right.
All righty. I think
Do
we don't need.
to
We don't
take a
need.
vote on that, or? are we
Well,
good?
let's do it anyway, just in case.
Okay.
Roll call vote.
Well, you need a
Well,
motion.
we need a
first.
motion, so why don't I
So-
move that the board approve the COA storage shed as proposed in item 1 of the town administrator's report.
Second,
Motion in a second. Discussion. Roll call vote.
Arnold, I.
Oskalilowai.
Louis, I.
Odell, I.
Reed, aye.
Thank you very much. Motion passes.
Okay. Second item in my report, there's an email from Glenn Reed and also a couple of photographs of the public art that has been installed on the Bruce Freeman Rail Trail that you authorized some time ago.
Unfortunately, we didn't get the pictures, or I didn't anyway.
I didn't.
I didn't
we-
either. No.
Yeah.
Oh,
I got,
well-
where did I see them? Or maybe
We
they,
got pictures of poison ivy.
yeah.
no, maybe
Lots
were
of
they, I don't know where they, anyway, yeah, I got an email, I think, where I saw them, but
Yeah,
Okay.
didn't we get them a while ago?
we approved it a while ago.
Yeah,
Yeah, we did
Yeah,
see
but weren't the
one.
pictures in that? No?
Yeah, there were.
There
Or
were
just
pictures for
something
that one.
similar?
yeah.
Yeah,
All right, we'll resend those then. Make sure everyone gets a chance to see them. Okay, also, we've got another request from the Timbernook program for another program this summer that would run for 6 Saturdays in July and August to benefit the developmentally disabled adult community that they serve. And they ask for the board's permission to operate that program this summer.
Oh, that's interesting, Tim. So this is different from what they've used the Conant land for before. So this is for adults.
Different population.
Yeah.
correct.
And are they going to, I've forgotten, didn't we approve something for the children's program too? For
We
the
did.
summer? Yeah, okay, so this is in addition to, okay.
So I move that we approve the use of the Conant property for the Timbernook program.
Second.
Motion and seconded. Yeah, I mean, they've been pretty good stewards of that land. They've
Yeah.
been very responsible in carrying it out. I think they would probably do the same here.
Yeah, and do we have any concerns about, I don't, but just want to raise it that this is Saturdays. Their other programs have been during the weekdays. And is that fine?
I don't see why
Fine with me.
not. You know. Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
roll call vote.
Arnold, I.
Oscar,
Louis, I.
Odell, I.
Reed, I.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 4, there's a draft of a letter to Eversource that comes from members of the Energy Task Force. Then they submit this for the board's review, and they have a suggested list of those that it would be sent to in the future. I don't see Bob Zog on the call. He indicated that he might drop into the meeting.
We're a little early still though, right? You were on
Oh,
at 9.
we-
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay. that's
okay, although it's, I mean, it's
I read the letter. I
largely,
thought it
yeah,
was-
it's pretty good.
Yeah, and also, remember, we got this full report from Bob, was it 2 select board meetings ago? He went
Mhm.
through
Right,
this whole update, and we heard about the Eversource issues then as well.
Yeah,
I-
I think it's important that we get the big guns out.
Yep.
Because,
Yeah, I mean, this is getting ridiculous.
so I move that the Carlisle Select Board authorize the sending of this letter to the mailing list attached.
okay.
And I guess we'll have to
Second.
sign it.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, so my question is, we say the select board respectfully requests your intervention. What does that mean, actually? I mean, first, these people have very like specific, they have really packed agendas where lots of people are asking them for things. I've always found it's good to be really specific. What do you want them to do?
Well, I think we want them to put pressure on Eversource to
What does that mean? I understand that.
contact them.
Contact who? I mean, it's just not, I'm just saying, I mean, I write letters, we write letters to our Congress people and our reps all the time. And we found, and we have a lobbyist and everything. So we found it, I'm just speaking of me for my company. We found it most successful when you're very specific, like contact this person and ask them to do this. So there's work that has to get done. If you ask the staffer to do it, it just won't get done. It's just extra work. So I don't object to the letter, but it's kind of half baked. It's like we should do our homework and figure out who's the liaison that we have to contact, and have we enlisted the right staffers for each of these people? Because it's not going to go to them personally. It's going to go to a staffer, and you got to kind of you got to prep the staffer basically.
Yeah, well, there's several levers that they could pull. Yeah, you're right. They could contact a certain representative of Eversource to accelerate the completion of those projects. But they could also, threaten them a little.
Well, they can do a lot of things, Kate, but what are they going to do? The staffers are incredibly busy. They
Okay,
have
so
hundreds of
you can-
requests.
Yeah,
I mean, we
Well,
can write
really-
the letter and make it feel good, but nothing
Yeah,
will
well,
happen.
my experience with this is it goes to a staffer, it gets assigned to a staffer who then contacts Eversource and says, we got some nasty grams from our constituents who are complaining about your inability to complete a project that's been going on for over a year. Would you please tell us your plans for completing that project? And that often gets to their attention. And it doesn't threaten them. It doesn't do anything
No,
like that.
if it
But
rises,
it
I
shows,
guess-
once you show congressional interest,
Yeah, I mean,
It gets-
if it rises to that level, then that will
Yeah.
happen. But I guess my advice is that Bob or whoever's coordinating this, provide in the letter, these are the people you need to contact. Get it like where it's really prescriptive, so that when that letter lands at the staffer's desk, all they have to do is
they know
write
who
an
to
email,
call. They
pick
know
up
who
the
they
phone,
know,
and not do
and their
research.
nasty gram too. Yeah.
Yeah, although,
You know.
you also want to leave them some room because, I mean, let's say, Lori Trahan, somebody in her office actually has a good working relationship with somebody in, Marky's office, and they decide, jointly that really it's Marky's
It's
office.
not, honestly, Barney, it's not important enough for even that to happen.
Well, what I was going to suggest is that I think, again, the way I have done this in the past when I've worked with other organizations is you would send something like this, and then really the key is for a follow-up call to the staff person, just as you're saying.
Right, but you have to
David.
know
And
who
so
that,
it's that, yeah, and I mean,
okay, so fair enough. So do we know?
and
who
so
the
anyway,
staff
I
person
would
is?
suggest that we sign the letter as is, and then we say to Bob Zog and to Lana Zamaro, the two key architects of this, that they should do follow-up. And I can tell you that Lana is on a first name basis with the staff people, and well, not the DPW's office, but everybody else. So I think they can follow up and make sure the right person is, that a staff person is assigned to do something about this.
But I think David has a good point. It would be helpful if when this letter gets sent, the appropriate contact people at Eversource are identified, so that if a staffer wants to do something right away, they can send their form letter, which they're probably going to send to this person, which simply demonstrates they know about it, there's interest in it, but it saves them a whole lot of work of running down who the heck they're supposed to contact, if anybody at all. And if it's a lot of work, they won't do it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So if we can get that, and personally, I mean, I've been working with one of Mike Barrett's staff on a personal, back and forth on a different matter. I'd be happy to also send that letter to them and, say, here's something else that we could use your help
Well,
on.
you should, I mean, if Lana knows all the staffers'
Yeah,
names and contacts, she's probably the best person to do it, but there should be a contact for each of the people listed. And, there's a lot of people on this list. I'm not sure you want to go to the Senate and all that stuff, but I think it would be good if she had the action on the heels of the letter. And I would not be averse to CCing the letter to the right person at Eversource, like
Oh, yeah.
put them on notice that, I mean, if you write the letter and you write it to, the way I would do it is I would write the letter, and in the to part of the address, it would be Barrett, Guvera, Trahan, maybe Healy. I would skip the senators.
The big one is DPU.
yeah, I was.
Yeah, the DPU,
You know,
right, those, right.
When we had trouble with Eversource the last time, where they were not responding to
Right.
utility outages in our town, a personal phone call from the head of the DPU to Eversource had
that's right.
immediate response.
Right. So that's maybe you should start with that. I mean,
Yeah.
why are we putting out the?
Yeah, I'm not sure sending it to the US Senate.
Why are we pulling out the howitzer? I mean, maybe that's all we need to do right now.
Yep.
Is contact the right person at DPU and say, hey, and we don't need to tell them who to call at Eversource. They know who to call at Eversource.
Yeah.
They'll tell us. So maybe the first step is we should just write the letter to the DPU. Because honestly, you don't want to waste people's time. These people are busy. We're gonna need Trahan and Tammy and stuff in the future.
I would send the letter to DPU copying Mike
Yeah.
Barrett and Tammy.
Tammy, and
Gouveia.
stop there.
Yeah.
Stop there. Right, and just ask the DPU person to contact and say, what's going on? Like,
Yep.
what is going on here?
What do we need to do to get some progress made?
Yeah,
Yeah, and then that's us following up with a call to DPU as well.
Right. Yep.
yeah, I mean, does Lana know the person at DPU? Or it sounds like Alan does. Alan doesn't have much to do after today, so maybe he can.
I'll be happy to do it. I'm a good nasty grammar.
I mean, but I totally agree. I think DPU is the right place to go. 'Cause
Yeah.
They actually control purse strings of.
Yep.
Well,
Everson,
yeah, they, exactly.
So you just, you just cost the community 25 grand, which means you cost the Commonwealth 25 grand. What are you gonna do about that, Eversource?
Yeah. Okay, so,
So I have no problem with the letter, but that would be my recommendation, that it be addressed to DPU with a copy like this.
I would support that.
I agree.
Yeah, I think we have consensus.
Yeah.
Okay.
And who's gonna be the liaison back to Lana? Is that you, Barney?
Sure, I can do that. I'm the liaison to the Energy Task Force, so
Okay, great.
I can do that. So are we taking a vote to approve the letter? And with the
Sure.
recommendation that it would be sent to the DPW?
I don't think you have to, you don't have to make a recommendation. You're
I
gonna
can
have
just talk
Tim,
that through with them.
Jen's gonna give you, either Jen will do it or you will do it, is put it on official town letterhead, and you'll address it the way you want, or we will, I mean,
Well,
Jen-
no,
Yeah.
we just discussed that we're going to address it to DPW.
right.
CC, Barrett and Bea.
Okay,
Right. But I'm saying, I agree with that. What I'm saying is we don't have to make a recommendation. We're just gonna do that, right?
Right.
Right.
Okay, so I don't even
I-
know if we need to.
yeah,
vote.
I
We
would
don't need a
also.
vote.
Okay, I would also put Trahan in there because she's our,
You know what? I gotta tell you, keep your dry powder. I really,
well, but at
she's
the
a
same time,
congressional rep. Do you really wanna pull that? Do you really
you know
wanna
what,
use
though,
that chip?
it's about
25
constituent service though, David, and
Oh
she'll
my
have
gosh,
somebody
yes,
on
I
her
know,
staff.
but,
She'll have somebody on her staff follow up on it, and that's just helpful,
But it's-
additional pressure.
My own
it's
feeling is that's the
actually-
next level. I think start with DPU.
Yeah, I don't agree.
Okay.
I just don't agree.
All right, well, we don't want to spend a long time on this, so we're saying, I'm fine with that. So we're saying it's going to go to the DPU with a CC to Govey and Barrett.
Yeah, I
That's
agree with that.
just to
Keep
keep
it
them
in the
involved, that there's a
con-
And Lana can
there's a
follow up on it.
municipality involved.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, Jen, I don't mean to put you on the spot here, but I'll just ask, is that clear? And you're fine on putting that letter together with our signatures, and then we'll do it through DocuSign? Does that work?
She records these meetings. She's not actually in the meeting.
Nope, I'm here. I can
No,
do
Oh,
that.
she's
she is.
there. Yeah. Is that okay, Jen?
It is, yes.
Or if you have any questions, we can touch base tomorrow.
Yeah.
All right, great. Thank you.
Okay, so do we need a vote that we've?
No, we don't
No,
need a
no,
vote.
we don't need a vote.
Just
It's our letter.
Right, okay, excellent.
Mr. Goddard.
Okay. Item number 5, town council suggested that the board revote your recommendation on the health insurance percentage split because the town meeting vote actually authorized you to make a change. So we did it in reverse fashion. So he suggested one more vote to kind of get it in the right order. That town meeting authorized you to make a change, and now you're making it.
All right.
Okay, yeah, and, okay, because I actually already made it in our policy book too. So.
So is there a motion here?
I
Yeah, right at
moved
the
that-
bottom of the
There is.
page.
Yeah, I moved
Number
that
10.
pursuant to
Oh, yeah.
Section 7A, Chapter 32B of the general laws, that in addition to the payment of
is it, Jack?
50% of a premium for contributory group life and health insurance for employees in the service of the town and their dependents, the town shall pay a subsidiary or additional rate of 55% of the premium, with the employee share decreasing to 45%. So.
Sounds like we're paying 105%.
Yeah. So I guess, well, I need a second, then we can talk about it.
Second.
All right, so from what I understand, Section 7A of Chapter 32B mandates 50% of the premium. And that in addition to that 50% we are going to pay an additional, yeah, shouldn't say additional rate. Yeah, it really sounds like we're paying 110%.
Well, a subsidiary it means instead of, right?
Yeah, it's all legalese to me.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, if it's wrong, we'll let Tom pay it.
Yeah, good luck with that. Tim, did he explain to you why he worded it this way?
That's the language that is in the statute.
Oh, that's the language that's in the 7A32B?
That what it, all except the 55 and the 45. I added that, but if that's imprecise, we can change
It's
that.
imprecise. It
Yes,
should be in,
yes,
it should be in lieu of,
In
not in addition to.
Yes. And yes, not an additional rate of 55%. It is an additional rate of 5%.
Right.
With the employee, which.
The language should be parallel.
Yes.
That in lieu of a split of 50% and 50% for the town and then employees or whatever, the town shall pay
A rate of
a
55%.
rate of 55. It's way too complicated. I would send him back to redraft.
Yeah,
Send him back to drafting school because this is really not working.
I'd rather not vote this yet until
Yep.
it's right.
Okay.
That's fine.
It's because
Bring that back. And then we have the meeting schedule upcoming. We've got the reorganization of the board, annual appointments, and a goals discussion for the 13th so far.
And we just added the charge for the ARPA committee.
Yes.
That will go in there as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And
So,
yeah, if anyone sees any meetings they know they're not going to be around for, let us know. We can, if enough
Well-
people are out of town, we can adjust the schedule.
well, that's almost, if we have Zoom meetings, out of town, in town, who cares?
Well, are we, and have we decided,
Question
we
is,
haven't really, yeah, sorry, we haven't really discussed whether as a board going forward, we're gonna meet, how we're gonna meet
right,
regularly. We're hoping, at least I thought, well, no, I guess we just talked about that at the LEPC.
Yeah.
So that's not really on our agenda for tonight, but anyway, we should, maybe under the reorganization of the board, we should just remember that we want to include a discussion about whether it's possible to go to regular hybrid meetings with the setup similar to the way the school committee's been doing it.
I mean, the school committee, that's just an IT issue about whether you have a better speaker.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
The question of hybrid meeting is a statutory one, right?
Yes.
yeah, well,
Is
we
it-
have April next year to.
Right.
So, no, but I mean, there's Zoom, but, so we could be in Zoom till April next year, but is hybrid okay? I guess it's okay, right? You just have one.
Well, it
Yeah.
always had been. I mean,
Is that
that's how,
true?
Oh, yeah, we've had hybrid meetings.
Okay, so we just continue that.
Yeah.
Does the quorum have to be in person? It does not, correct?
It does.
it does.
That's not what
Yeah, but it
I'm,
won't have to be if the.
yeah, I don't think that's right.
Oh, during the extension.
Yeah,
During the extension I'm talking
Yeah.
about.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Oh, yeah, during the extension, I don't think the quorum does not have to be.
Right, so let's just have it, you can be there or be online, it's fine.
Yeah.
But I would like to, would like to set it up though with a better setup so
Yeah.
that participants would not have to, people that would like to watch the meetings or participate don't have to do the live streaming because that is not nearly as accessible. So if we can do something similar to the way the school committee's been operating, and it's not going to be terribly costly, I would like to see us do that.
What's different about what they do besides the jobber speakers?
They bring their laptops in, put them on mute and get on and dial into the Zoom meeting, even when they're in person there. And then the speaker there's only one speaker for all the people, but then each one is in their little frame as you see us here today, but they're in their little frame all in the same room.
Sitting
That way,
together.
that way
Yeah.
you don't need Minuteman Media.
That's right. That's right.
Well, then why not just continue remote if that's what we're gonna do? I mean, that seems kind of silly to me.
Because, as we've said, I think, I thought we had discussed this off and on, is that there is some benefit for us seeing each other face to face.
And the public may attend.
And yeah.
Right.
public-
Yeah.
Right. It's a combination. But why don't we, let's, that's why it's going to be on the agenda for the next meeting. So why don't we hash this out then? And people can be thinking about it between now and then.
Yeah, I mean, I would be interested in certain meetings being in person. The problem I have is engagement. I mean, the reason, why do we want a periodic in person? It's because we want to engage in that in-person experience. Sitting at your laptop, looking at the other person on the laptop is not, to
Actually,
me,
you're
not
not.
engagement.
It's so that the audience can see you.
Who cares? The
They are-
audience can show up like they did for the past 150 years. I mean,
Yeah, but-
honestly, when we don't have to do it all the time, but when we want to do it, let's do it. I disagree.
Let's have that discussion later.
Liaison reports. Thank you, Tim.
Okay.
We've got the Highland thing.
Yes.
Yeah, so I know a couple of you actually got sent this. So John Valentine, sorry, I'm trying to get to the other screen. John Valentine and Jack Trost have been going back and forth with different consultants for a while. And this one, Tochi, I guess, John knows him from something.
TOCCI?
TOCCI, yeah.
Yeah, okay. They're big builders.
Are they? Yeah, and anyway, so they've been going back and forth, and they've negotiated this. They call it a pre-construction services agreement. Essentially, it will be an evaluation of Highland that at the end of it, they will come up with two different options. It'll be a residential option, municipal employees, or a municipal office space option. And essentially, there are a couple of ways that they're going to do this, and this is one of the reasons that the cost is lower. So obviously they'll evaluate the building, but what they're going to do is they'll base the budget on historic cost data, right? And part of it is that obviously they have to, inflate, if you will, for current pricing. But the idea is to develop and put together a preliminary scope of work for each budget. And the scope will be defined by each major trade, and the outline of assumptions for each of those trades will be assumed. However, they're going to do this, like I said, based on historical information. So the residential piece, for example, the input's going to be, it's not spec grade, but not, high end, right? It'll be, say, like Home Depot quality. And, so they'll work with, I guess John and Jack they've been the drivers in this whole thing. And the idea would be that they'll develop a couple of not proposals. What's the word I'm looking for? Budgets, or scopes that basically outline what the costs would be if we were to go for each of the two routes, right? If we were to pick one or the other. Obviously it would still have to get bid and all of that stuff, but where we stand right now, we have no idea what any of this would cost. We've heard anywhere from $300,000 or $400,000 up to $3 million, and right, we've got no idea. So that's what the hope is, that's what this would allow us to actually determine is, what does it really seem like the costs are going to be to build this out, and then we can make an educated decision as to whether or not we think either of them are economically feasible, Also too, I think, if from an economic standpoint, they make sense, then John and Jack were saying that the next step would be to get school committee buy-in, right? Obviously, because it is their land, and then, start that process. So, Tim's actually had more conversations with John. I know John's included me in those emails, and I think Alan, you've been on some of those too. Apparently there is excess cash in the kitty. So, the hope was that, I know it seems kind of last minute, but the hope was that we could take funds from this year, some surplus funds from this year, and use it to pay for this. To pay for this work. Tim, did I miss anything? Did I?
No, I think that's accurate. John asked me if we possibly could find $5,000 or $6,000, which we could in unused capital funds. That's not a big ask, but to do that level of analysis doesn't require bidding because it's under, or even quotes, it's under 10,000. So it's a pretty small amount of money.
Should the school committee be brought in this first? I mean, what if they say no to both? I mean, and you've just spent, regardless of the amount of money, but $1,000 or $5,000. If the school, if neither of these types of proposals are at all considered doable by the school committee, then it's money down the tubes, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, that's actually not, that's not a bad idea. So, I guess so. Yeah, I guess, the next piece would probably be engagement with the school committee. Yeah, that does make sense.
Yeah, well, you have to encumber it before the end.
Right, yeah, you still need to encumber it, but it could be, put the condition on that, the discussion is had with the school committee before funds are spent, I think that makes perfect sense. Yeah, why spend the money if right? Yeah, no, it's a good point. Nobody was thinking, it's all, like you said, this committee, and especially John and Jack, I mean, they've been phenomenal with us. The other piece too is Christine Lear is on this committee, and she hasn't raised any concerns or objections. But still, you'd want to get the entire committee's buy-in. She obviously, is on the committee, but doesn't speak for the committee. But it's really, this only came through, I think we got it sent today from John.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah. So, it's just, I don't think anybody thought that we would have anything kind of, buy-in of any sort of thing at this time. But it seems like, really, the main focus is on residential, and then the commercial / industrial, as they say in this, but it's really if we were to go to municipal office space, the 5,000 to 6,000 is, it's 5,000 to do the whole thing, right? And to add on the office space, because it's, it's less complex than residential, except, the only other pieces that you need to throw in an elevator. But that was only an additional $1,000. So why not, get that piece done as well with this. So that's why.
Has there been any conversation, if you do residential, how that gets managed? I mean, who manages that property?
Yeah, well, see, so that, I mean, it depends on who you talk to, right?
Yeah.
But it depends on who the employees would be, right? If it's fire department, I think it would have to be a combination of fire and MFC probably, or or do we establish kind of a new group that focuses on municipal housing, right? Because do you want to limit it just to fire? Do you want to have police available as well? Do you want to have it be for whoever, right? Teachers, right? So like, that's the thing. I don't think you could necessarily restrict it to one group, but you don't necessarily want 3 different groups. Say you got a teacher, 2 firemen and a cop in there. You want three people managing the property. So it's a longer discussion, right? It's a larger discussion, but it's what's that?
So is it for sale or for rent? I mean, because rental properties are a pain in the patooties,
Yeah. So, well, yeah, no, I think the whole idea is that the rent would be lowered, right? It would be, little affordable, try to, excuse me, encourage some of these individuals to work in Carlisle. But but then those numbers would have to be run to see if it's even sustainable, right? Because if it isn't, right? So first step is really to see what it would cost, right? If it's going to be $5 million to renovate, obviously it doesn't make sense, right? But if it's but if it's $1 million, then maybe you say, okay, well, let's focus on what the next steps might be. But we don't know any of that right now. So that's kind of where this stands. So
Luke, has there been any discussion about determining the cost to just tear it down? I know that a lot of people on the committee, or maybe most of them, want to preserve it in some way, shape, or form. But I do remember initially when it was established that they were supposed to be looking at all three questions.
yeah, and I believe there's somewhere that's about 350 to 400,000 to remove it, and this might have been in something that minutes from a couple of weeks ago. To move it and hot top it, it's 350 to 400,000.
All right,
because it's lead paint and asbestos and all of that fun stuff.
Right.
Which you'll have if you make it into residential too.
Yeah, the thing is you can seal though, right? So there are different ways to.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just
right. Yeah. No. Exactly. Right. So I mean, there's certain things that you'd obviously have to remediate, right? But like the discussion too is you have to bring it up to code, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, there's certain things that you can kind of skate on, and
you
other
won't have
things
to sprinkler it if it's residential, and you will if it's blah blah blah.
Right. No, exactly. And we actually, the sprinkler discussion came up today because there's an insurance thing too, right? If you sprinkler it, then insurance costs are down, and the school might require sprinklers, obviously, if it's right next to the school, and so there's it's all stuff that discussions have happened, but until there's any sort of traction with any of this.
I have one more question about it, and that is water and septic.
Yeah.
Is there enough septic? I mean, does it get tied into the wastewater, the school's wastewater sewage? Is it possible to at this point, because the school's between it and the wastewater?
Yeah.
No.
So that hasn't necessarily been investigated, but I think that's the hope, is that we would tie into whoever does it would tie into the, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It would tie into the schools. Yeah, it would tie into the schools.
That's another question we'd have to ask the school.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yep.
No. Yeah.
You can ask the Benfield septic people.
Yeah.
We'll tie it in all the way over there. Yeah, so that, I mean, that's the thing.
They need the extra stuff, they need.
Right, no, exactly. They need the food. Yeah, so that's the thing. That's why this, the initial ask is for the 6th, so we can even see if it's, even worth having those additional discussions. And, I honestly, I like Alan's suggestion of, getting school committee buy-in to at least explore these options and get some costing. And then, ultimately, if it doesn't go anywhere, it doesn't go anywhere, right? But, if it's cost prohibitive, it's cost prohibitive. And, like Barney said, I think most people on this committee want it saved. But, and so they'll explore any avenue they can. But these were the two that really seemed to make the most sense. And it's really residential seems to make the most sense. Like I said, the office space / municipal office space was just added on because it's only $1,000 more, and for the evaluation, and obviously people are going to ask that question. So
honestly, if we could get the school committee to subdivide that piece of land off so it's no longer the schools. It's stupid to have that they own their land, we're stuck with the building. And then at least if you put residential, we could sell the darn thing. We cannot right now. We can't sell it as it is. And then at least once it's sold, it's their problem. It's the residents' problem. It's not our
It's not though, but Kate, it's contiguous with the school. It's right there. You can't.
Well,
I don't see how that's practical. The school, it doesn't matter almost whether they have ownership. It's that it's a contiguous building to the playground, for crying out loud. They've got to have the authority to say whether they can accept that use or not. I can't imagine that we can just make it the problem of a purchaser.
no, I
That
understand.
would
once they accept that it's
Yeah.
okay for residents, then it's time to make it a residence that we
Well,
don't. have
that,
to
yeah, I mean,
manage.
maybe as step 2, but I mean, I'm
Yeah,
stuck on step 1.
I certainly wasn't debating that part. I'm
Yeah,
just saying, in terms of management, long-term management, then it's.
yeah,
not-
we don't want to be right. We've learned from that. We make crappy landlords, so
We
we
do.
shouldn't be landlords, but I'm, yeah. it's,
Okay, let's move forward.
Yeah.
Any other liaison reports?
Well, so we are not being asked to approve 6,000 tonight. You're saying you're
Right.
gonna connect
We haven't seen, I haven't
with
seen
the
any
school committee
proposals.
first and then come back, or?
Well, I think the hope was because we want funds that are available this year, before it runs out. I mean, could we encumber the funds, Tim, and then vote on it after? Or no?
Well, you'd have to have a contract or a vendor. and a
Selected
specific,
already?
Yeah,
So even just the
specific-
proposal doesn't,
scope
Yeah,
of services.
I don't think you can, I don't think you can rush this. It's just gotta go its course.
And just again, to keep peace in the family, you probably ought to notify the finance committee.
Right.
Yeah.
They
But,
were
I
pretty
mean,
upset with us for not notifying them on some other stuff.
We haven't actually received any kind of proposal, correct?
yeah, so, John sent it today.
Yeah,
To
Yeah,
whom?
well, I know I was on it.
I
think
got a
it-
copy.
Yeah, I didn't.
Yeah, you guys did.
Well, I mean, right, so we can't,
Yeah.
we gotta follow our process. It's
I
fair
would-
to say, if we have a specific proposal, which is a step forward, right? Because there's been like lots of things, but if this is elevating to where this is the proposal of the committee after evaluating all other potential uses, then it seems to me we ought to have kind of a joint meeting with school committee to figure out if that has any merit and then frame out what, I guess, what would the work scope be for the consultant to evaluate? Because parking, sewage, safety, I don't know, whatever else, lots of things. So,
Yeah, but this isn't even that in depth. This is really just,
Right.
if it were to turn into residential, what would it cost? If it were to turn into office spaces, what would it cost? Kind of a bare bones, evaluation, right? Without, I mean, they look at, things like, tying into the wastewater treatment, because where are you going to put a septic? I mean, you can't, right?
That's,
Yeah, so, there are certain restrictions that would have to be in place, right? And yeah, so that, I mean, that's what this is. It's not looking at the full, the full picture of exactly what, to
So you're
what
saying-
level are we gonna build?
right, but you're saying like if school said, well, residential, absolutely not.
Mhm.
Then you just don't have that piece, right? You're just looking at office. I mean, it sounds to me like we're trying to compare maybe 2 or 3 things at the most, right? Residential, office, and the default is hot top, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
So what if we agreed, Luke, would this work for you if we then, that first July meeting, we have this on the agenda and we, between now and then, the school committee is engaged in a discussion about it and we get a read on their position. And then you have John or Jack or you come back to the board at our July meeting with a proposal.
Yeah, I mean,
I believe that's too soon. The school committee has its own reorganization. They're gonna have a new
Right.
member, so.
yeah.
I think you gotta
Christine
let
was
them
on
get
highlight.
settled and give them, you gotta give them an agenda on their meeting and then come back on that. We're not gonna, we've missed the 2021 deadline anyway, right? So,
yeah, I think now that we've missed that, we should take our time.
yeah, this is not a rush. We've had this building for a long time. And so let's do stepwise. I mean, it should, I'm the liaison, I guess. I'm still the liaison of the school committee unless otherwise notified. So I can certainly take it on to ask the school committee to consider it. But I guess I would need that thing from Lavery or whoever drafted it to take it up with them and say, please
It's
put that in.
John, we're talking about John Ballantyne.
Yeah, John Valentine.
Oh,
Yeah.
Valentine.
Ballantyne,
okay.
not-
That's better.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the main push to do it now was just, not necessarily to rush it. It's more so that, the funds were available and they hoped that, we could just use existing funds and it wouldn't be more of a process down the road. If the funds, essentially, if there are funds down the road to do it, I don't think anybody's in a rush to have it done tomorrow. It's more so that the funds were available.
If this is something worthwhile to do, we will find the funds.
Yeah, no, exactly.
So, I wouldn't worry about the funds.
Yeah.
If we're talking really 5,000, that's not something that we have to worry about too much.
No,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, no, I think it was just,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
hope
I
is-
get it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
But let's not rush it because of that.
No,
you know.
exactly. No, I don't disagree. I don't
Yeah.
disagree.
All
Other
right.
liaison reports.
Not tonight, Josephine.
Okay. Approval of minutes.
Did we have minutes?
We got minutes, yes.
Yes,
We do.
yes, I
Yeah,
read
we-
them. And I
Two
didn't have any
sets,
trouble.
two sets.
That's true. Hang on.
I move to approve the minutes of the meeting of
May 25th.
25th as written.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the May 25th meeting. Is there a second?
I
Second.
second.
Any additions or corrections? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Arnold, I.
Oscar Lilo, aye.
Louis, I.
Model I.
Reed, I.
Thank you.
No, and then we have the second one. I
June
move
6th.
approval of the minutes of June 6th. That was the meeting that we had on the parking lot, under the solar canopies, and which continued throughout town meeting.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Any additions or corrections? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Arnold, I.
Oscar Lilo, aye.
Louis, I.
Model I.
Reed, I.
Thank you. And we have Barney again, paid all the people in town from her own amount of money. And we do appreciate that, Barney.
Thanks again.
A lot of money there. Woo. Okay.
Spender.
Yeah, well, it's summertime. I guess we don't have any more school expenses after this week, right?
Oh.
Yeah, right.
By the way,
As a former teacher, Barney can tell you that paychecks continue.
yeah.
Well-
By the way, very, very nice evaluations on Jim O'Shea. and
Yes.
Mosquito. That was very, very well done. And I might unsolicited say well deserved.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Before we adjourn, I do want to thank all of you for your perseverance and the great courtesy you've shown me over the last 3 years. I look forward to lurking in the future, and I wish you the very, very best. And have a great year coming up. Hopefully, it will be better than the last one.
Yeah, it's a low bar.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is a very nice hat.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're expecting a picture from the helm of your sailboat.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it's a good hat. It doesn't even have a
The little fake
little,
tab.
little tabs you have to put together. It actually fits me.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, it'll fit even better when you're not wearing the headphones.
There you go.
That gives you a proud head.
All righty. I will accept a motion to adjourn.
So
So
moved.
moved. Second.
All roll call vote.
Arnold, I.
Oscar Lilo, aye.
Louis, I.
Gratitude to Alan Model I.
And Reed, I.
Good night, everybody.
You
Good
too.
night.
Thanks,
Thanks so
Alan.
much. Yep.
Look,
Bye-bye.
I'll call you later, or you can call me.
Okay.